Hey everyone, it's Megan. I'm going early/late/early. I said it was going to be around 11:15 Eastern Standard Time. Normally I go live at noon. It's somewhere in the middle. Yes, we're making it work today. Yes, okay. If you don't know me by now, I'm an actress. I'm a producer. I'm a wellness guide. Some people call me a freedom coach. If we get into the nitty-gritty of this, I am an expert on rehab exercise and supplementation and nutrition around complicated problems and conditions. It's really where I fall. You got a big problem around your health and wellness, or your health and your fitness, I'm your girl. No problem is too big for me to tackle. All right. I did not want to go live today. Let's make that super duper clear. After I get off this live, I have to take care of a couple things, and I have to call my dad because, unfortunately, my stepmom is in the hospital. And I feel feelings about that because I love her very much. So, it's West Coast time over there. I would have called them already. I don't need to call them early in the morning on East Coast time just to check in. So that's what's happening over here for me. Okay, there are times where I do not feel like I am qualified to, thanks Norman, I don't feel qualified sometimes to give anybody advice on how to have freedom in their lives from whatever it is that's bugging them. That's how I feel over here, okay? Now, I've been working in this field for over a decade. I've been successfully helping people around all different kinds of things for more years than I can count. I've helped entrepreneurs. I have helped businesses turn around, even though, again, am I really qualified to do that? Do I have a business degree? No. I've advised people on legal things. I've sent them to my attorney to actually get contracts done. I've sent them to my accountant to figure out how to get their business on track. I have told them whether or not they should do a DBA or an LLC. I have coached people, again, around specific health things. I've helped people turn their fitness around, turn their health around. I've helped people reduce inflammation where they've gone in and gotten a blood test and their inflammation is high, and they go get another blood test and their inflammation is normal. These are things that I've done, okay? There's actual physical proof of my ability to coach around the concepts that I do. And yet, more often than not, I'm over here thinking like, should I tell them it's really hard to be an entrepreneur? Should I tell them that things don't always go as you plan? Are they going to disrespect me for what my finances are like? Do they expect me to have it all figured out and have my life be perfect and not have any challenges, even though what I do is coach people around challenges? And I'm good at coaching people around challenges because challenges don't scare me. Now, why do challenges not scare me? I have had more than potentially my share of challenges in my life up to this point. If there is one thing I'm an expert in, it is having the bottom drop out and getting creative and making lemonade out of all the fucking lemons that have fallen off a tree in front of me. So, here's what I have to tell you. And know that bottom has not dropped out of my life right now. It's not ideal. I've had a couple business things go not as I expected, which means my money is not where I want it to be. I'm sure it will be sorted out in a month or two, but the moral of this is things are not always going to go how you want them to go. They're just not gonna. I'm sorry about it. It's not gonna go that way. Sometimes they will, and that's gonna be great. Other times, you're gonna have this beautiful vision of how it's gonna go. You're going to work your butt off, and you're going to make things happen, and you're going to put all the pieces in place, and you're going to launch that thing, and it's in your mind, you're like, oh, I'm going to launch it. It's going to be great. Everybody's going to buy it. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be easy. You launch it. Crickets. Where is everybody? Does anybody care? Did I do this right? Did I invest all this money incorrectly? Did I not gauge my market properly? Right? Crickets. Why? Okay, now, this is where people quit. This is where people give up. This is where people look at what they've taken on and say, oh, I was wrong, the market is wrong, I'm passionate about this, but it isn't what I should be doing, I should go play it safe back over here again, I should quit. Or, oh, I can't take this any further, this is, I made a mistake, I tried, I'm going to quit. Okay? That's generally what happens. Now, what if, when the bottom drops out, and you're faced with a challenge, and you're faced with information that what you thought was going to happen actually isn't going to happen, or at least not in the way that you thought? What if you didn't quit at that point? What if you got curious about this new challenge that's arising in front of you? And what if you looked to see if there was something you were missing? Maybe you're missing in your marketing. Maybe you're missing in how you're connecting to people. Maybe you were over here, but you need to pivot slightly and come over here. Maybe something that you didn't want to do or that you thought you could avoid doing is actually the thing you need to spend time working on. Would you take that on? Or are you going to take the easy way out and assume that it's not going to work? Okay, so now I'm talking mostly sort of around business. And I do actually have a business that I launched that is struggling. That this was not how I thought it was going to go. Okay, and that means a lot of different things about my day-to-day life right now. That means I thought certain things were going to happen around my money. They didn't happen that way. Now I have new situations that I'm dealing with, right? Now, this also occurs whenever we have a challenge about something we care about, okay? So this can be applied to a million other things. This even can be applied to relationships that we have, friendships, love relationships, marriages, things like that, right? You fall in love, you get engaged, you get married, you go on your honeymoon, you think it's going to be a cakewalk. Uh-oh, what happens when there's a challenge? Do you just give up and run away? Or do you look at that and you say, okay, the bottom fell out. This is not going how I thought it was going to go. But, what is there for me to learn in this moment? So what I'm going to challenge you to do, when the bottom drops out, get curious. Get curious. That's all you got to do. And you might have to, say you launch a business. Say it's not bringing in money. Okay, you got to get a job for a little while. Whatever. That doesn't mean that you failed at your business. That doesn't mean your business stopped existing. That means that you're doing what you need to do while you can stay curious about, okay, what's happening with that over there? What do I need to do to take the next step? Right, Norman, yeah. So my friend Norman just commented, he has a big visible website, and he's an advocate for fibromyalgia, which is the condition that I have, and I'm also an advocate for it. And in his figuring out what this is, and in his working with this business, he forgot that he also has fibromyalgia, and sometimes he can't just show up in the way that he had. So now he's got to look at what's going to happen with that. And choice one could have been, okay, the bottom's falling out. Maybe, maybe if I'm Norman, maybe I just want to quit. That would be a choice. And again, I would not fault him for making that choice. Instead, what I'm seeing him do is get curious about, okay, what is this going to be now? Who are the people that might be able to support me? Maybe this is not something that I run by myself. Maybe there's a team. Maybe this is something different than what I thought it was going to be. But staying curious in that moment is going to allow for this thing that he's really, really passionate about to continue to exist as a thing that helps a lot of people, even as there are personal things happening for him that make it really difficult for him to just push through. Okay? So that's my request. Get curious. See what that is. What was your motivation for setting this up, taking this on in the first place, right? So now, like, to take it out of business, let's take it into personal health and fitness for a second, okay? So you decide, let's say, you have a goal to lose 10 pounds, all right? But let's say you start weightlifting and you start working with your diet and doing everything right. And no matter what you do, that weight is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And it's 6 months, a year later, you've not lost any weight. What's happening? No weight is lost. What's wrong here? Now, you could quit. You could just quit. Let's say you've also invested money in a personal trainer and a nutritionist, and you bought a Vitamix. I don't know. You spent a bunch of money to try to figure out how to get from here to there. And it's not happening. Now, at that moment, you could also say, oh, I realize I really like weightlifting. It seems like my pants feel a little different. The weight on the scale's not going anywhere, but maybe it's possible that I've built some muscle. Maybe it's possible that my original goal of losing 10 pounds actually shouldn't be the goal that I have. Maybe my goal is to get stronger and to get to where I can deadlift double my body weight. Maybe then your goal shifts from one thing to another, and even though it feels like failure and like the literal bottom is dropping out of this thing that you're so passionate about, and I know that losing 10 pounds is probably not something that we would feel this way about, but some people do, like, it really, like, that I have no judgment about what it is that causes you to feel like such a failure that you are emotionally drained. Because it's not on me to choose what that is for you. And sometimes it's the extra straw that breaks the camel's back, and it's like that little thing that seems like it shouldn't be a big deal, but it is a big deal because it matters to us. So I am not one to judge about that, okay? Let that be clear. So whatever your challenge is, whatever it is that is making you feel like you can't continue forward with this, get curious in that moment, because you might be able to pivot your focus and take the pressure off yourself and allow the curiosity to develop for you to figure out what's missing. So that's just an idea. And I'm over here doing that. It's really messy. And if I took a second to judge myself about the choices that I have made over the past 6 months, which I can't waste the energy on that today, I would be like, what right do I have to coach all of you? What right in my darn mind do I have to coach any of you on finding freedom when right now in my life I have pretty much close to zero freedom? I also know, though, that this period of time that I'm in will not last forever. And that every action that I take and every choice that I make is aligned with my bigger vision for how it is that I want to make an impact in people's lives. And it all comes back to that same idea of, how can I help people be healthier? How can I help them have less symptoms of whatever their chronic, untreatable by Western medicine condition is that they have? How can I help people get creative about how they make money? That relates directly to me, because a lot of my population of people that I help with health and fitness cannot hold down traditional jobs. They're not able to work 8 hours at a stretch because their bodies don't allow it. Now, I also believe that those human beings can make money and can have work and don't have to be on disability unless they so choose that that's what's right for them. And again, I won't judge if that's what they want to do. But we have a lot to offer, and there's a lot to be creative about how it is that we offer it. And choosing how money comes from that creates freedom in our lives. I have a close contact, a close friend, who I won't name because I don't want to call that person out. But they have shared with me recently in such a way that I'm learning how difficult psychologically it is to be on disability and to not interact with people in the same way that we take for granted, and to not be giving back in such a way, to not be bringing money in for their family, for, to not be contributing in that way, because we attach value to things like how much money I make. We attach value to that. And again, right or wrong, good or bad, it's a thing that we do. I attach value to it all the time. I probably shouldn't, because I know the kind of value that I create on a day-to-day basis in helping people with their health and with their lives. So if I just based my own value on my net worth or the lack thereof, because I've invested a lot of money in my careers that I have, I've invested a lot in myself, and I don't right now have a whole lot to show for it as far as net worth. I believe someday I will. And you know what? If I never do, does that make me a bad person? I would argue no. But I think there's a way to create a different exchange around worth and money and connection that creates freedom and creates possibility for people who can't show up in the ways that society has deemed productive. And we give people who show up that way, in that productive way, money for their productivity. That's how things work. I want you to think about there maybe being another way, or a bigger way that can happen. So that's my request. When the bottom drops out, be curious and think about what value you provide to people and all the different ways that you do that. And if you're a person who needs support around getting creative around how money comes to you, whether that's because you can't physically do work in the same way, or you have logistical issues or challenges in your life that makes that really hard. I know, like actors, I got to be available hours every day for auditions that may or may not ever come into anything. I don't get paid for all the hours that I audition, and I audition constantly, which means money has to come to me another way until those times happen where money comes to me from what I do as an actor. So even if you're healthy, but you have some other dream that you're working on that takes a lot of time, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to support you. Always feel free to send me a message. These videos and my Facebook profile are public, so feel free to share these videos. I'm in the process of getting a YouTube channel started and getting these videos on Vimeo, as well as updating them on my website. You can find me at megandensmore.com. You can also request a topic if that's something that helps. I don't get paid to do these videos. These are purely a way for me to give back on things that I have learned, and I do hear that they are helping people, so I hope I helped you today a little bit. Again, my name is Megan Densmore. I'm an actress, producer. I am a wellness guide and a freedom coach. Go easy on yourself today. Give yourself some extra love and trust that it's all going to work out.